was a LaVey Satanist, which, before you guys freak out, has nothing to do with Satan. I believed in nothing, basically, in short. I realized that there wasn't anything you could have done to get me to believe in God or a higher power or any sort of religion unless you had broken me down that far. This is really hard to film. I'm sorry, guys. Assalamualaikum. Hi guys. So today I'm going to be doing my conversion story to Islam. How did I come to be a Muslim? I am going to be doing the quickest story possible. Since it is a very long journey, I will try to keep this short and sweet. So basically around age 15 I began to get sick, and I will be doing a separate video that talks more about my journey to being diagnosed with PFC and Crohn's. But for now, I will just keep it brief on the medical side of things. So anyways, as I got progressively sicker, I had to leave my job in the music industry, and it was very, very devastating to me. Music was my entire life, and it still is a huge part of my life. When I didn't have God, when I didn't have a faith, I firmly believe that God gave musicians their talent to be able to help kids who maybe don't have a strong faith in their life or don't have something else that's there for them, a parent, a loved one, something. Music was that sanctuary. It was that hope. Those lyrics rang true to me. So ever since I was young, I knew I wanted to work in the music industry, and I worked my butt off to get to where I was. And I was doing some incredible tours, and I was having the time of my life, and I met incredible people, and one of which really stood by me during these tough times. We both had anxiety issues, and we would kind of help one another cope with our anxiety while we were on tour. So when I was on my last tour with this friend of mine, I pretty much knew that that was the end, that I wasn't going to get the opportunity to tour after that ever again. And that was devastating. I don't even have the words to explain to you what that feels like. And so he really helped me through being sick on tour, and you know, being anxious about being so far from home and my family and being so sick. He was there and really helped talk me out of panic attacks and things like that. So I'm eternally grateful for that. And likewise, I did my best to help him through his triggers and different anxious scenarios. So moving forward, when I got back home, I started going to different doctors, and nobody could figure out what was going on with me. And during this time, my mom was an incredible support, but also my best friend, Kristen. She was there for me, and she was the only other person outside of my friend from tour that could really reach me and talk to me when I was having an anxiety attack. Any of you guys who have anxiety issues know that when somebody comes to you during an anxiety attack and says, "Oh, it's going to be okay, calm down," you can't just shut it off. It doesn't work that way. So it's rare to find a person that gets you and gets your pattern of thinking and can get you out of your sort of anxiety spiral that you're going through. So she was there for me through thick and thin, through all the procedures I went through. And then she met her husband, and you know, mashallah, he's a great man, and they were so cute together. But when they did meet, I was still very, very sick, and she fell in love very quickly, and they got married very quickly as well. And she moved down to South Carolina. And for those of you who don't know, I live up in New York, so that's quite the hike. So as she left, that really left me feeling very alone, because previous to that, my friend from the music industry had passed away. He had died in a motorcycle accident, and it left me feeling like I was in this anxiety bubble all by myself. Nobody could get me out of those anxiety spirals that I would start going down. And just as I lost these two people in my life, I had to go in for the biggest procedure that I had ever endured. And it was the scariest moment of my life. I sat in my hospital bed. Excuse me for getting emotional about this. And I called his phone and listened to his voicemail. Because I half expected for him to pick up the phone. And obviously he never did. And at that moment in time I realized, Kendall, you're alone. You're alone in this, and not in a negative way. I know that I had family that loved me, but this life, you come into it alone and you will leave it alone. And something clicked in my mind, and I realized that I wasn't in control of this life. This wasn't me holding all the cards. That there was something more. And after I came out of surgery, if you guys have ever had surgery, you've ever been under MAC anesthesia, you know that you don't remember very much from the first maybe half hour of you coming out of anesthesia. I'm sure you guys have seen the funny videos here on YouTube of people talking and whatnot after getting anesthesia. And a couple weeks later after my surgery, my father came to me and he said, I think I should tell you what you told me when you came out of anesthesia. And I said, what? Please don't let it be something embarrassing, or, you know, something he didn't know that I might have done when I was younger or something. But he said that when you woke up, the first thing you said was, I saw him. And I say him because I don't wish to say my friend's name, although many of you may be able to put the pieces together on who he is. I do not want to draw any attention to him or his family. He is simply mentioned because he is such an innate part in this journey of mine. But my relationship with him, I would like to keep completely private and do not wish to gain any sort of acknowledgement for knowing him or anything like that. So just for those reasons, I will keep him nameless in this video. But I said to my dad I saw him. And I just kept talking about him. I said he was okay, and that this is really hard to film, I'm sorry guys. And he told me to make sure his daughter was okay, and that his wife was okay, and just make sure that they were good. And that was really, really hard to hear coming back from my dad. And it really shook me, and it put me into a very emotional place, and I was sad and confused because I hadn't even gotten the chance to go to his funeral or his memorial because we lived on two different sides of the country. So things are still, even to this day, very raw because I haven't had that full mourning process. So anyways, as I was in that state of mind, I came across a line from the Quran that said, Allah does not burden one with more than they can bear. And that line kind of came at me like a ton of bricks, and I said, wait a second, maybe I've been looking at this all wrong. Maybe I'm given this life because I'm strong enough to live it, because I can do this, and that there's going to be a life after Crohn's, a life after PFC, and all these tests and surgeries and doctors and pain, that it will one day stop. And I started to believe, the more I read from the Quran, that God is not going to just endlessly torture me. He didn't put me here on earth to be in pain. He put me here as a test, to test my character of who I am and how I'm going to deal with these situations that I'm put into. So I took my Shahada about a month after I had that experience, because Islam rang so true to me. It was a no-brainer almost. Coming from a Roman Catholic family, my parents were glad that I had accepted God into my life, since previous to this whole experience I had rejected the Catholic background that I'd been brought up on, and was a Leve Satanist, which, before you guys freak out, has nothing to do with Satan. I believed in nothing, basically. short. So they were happy that I found God and that God was now a part of my life. But it was hard for my grandparents to accept, and I think the only person in my life that really accepted it was my dad. He was really embracing of it, as was Kristen. After all this happened, Kristen and I did reconnect, and we were able to mend some of the fences that we had broke just in the process of trying to grow our relationship from best friends to now her, having a husband who is her best friend and partner in life. We had to find where our friendship now lied and how we fit into the bigger equation. So alhamdulillah, Kristen and I are just the best of friends. It's been an emotional journey to get to Islam, and if you asked me 2 years ago if I would think that I would be here making this video for you guys, I would have said that you were crazy. But alhamdulillah, I am grateful for having Crohn's. I am grateful for losing someone I loved, in the sense that it made me grow as an individual and become the adult that I am today, and it brought me to God. And I realized that there wasn't anything you could have done to get me to believe in God or a higher power or any sort of religion unless you had broken me down that far, until you stripped me of my job, of one of my best friends, of my tour family, and of my health. Until all of that was stripped away, I couldn't have seen this. So, alhamdulillah, I am so grateful to be a Muslim, and I am so grateful to be here today to share this with you guys. And I'm sorry that I got so emotional telling this story. I don't usually tell my story. I usually kind of just say, I was Catholic and now I'm Muslim. But that's how it happened.